Hi y'all, Kraken Latte here. It's that time again where I bring you my tips, facts, or experience that you may or may not find helpful. It's that time again for a new max level leveling guide. The War Within expansion is well underway, and with all of the wonderful quality of life changes made to collecting via the warband systems, now is a fantastic time to look into leveling some alts. Due to some things I dislike about how the 70 to 80 track works, the methods I use here are a little bit different than my usual leveling guides, but rest assured, this is all still fairly simple and works especially great for the solo player. And so, here's a look at the route. It's pretty straightforward, and there isn't any real preparation needed with two major exceptions. One, that you have adventure mode unlocked for Kaz Algar, which means that you can level through the 4 base zones in any order, and you can access the world quests on alts. That's done so by questing through all of that already once on your main, which is why you're here, right? And 2, this works so much better if you already have the Warband mentored leveling buff that gives 25% increased experience. That one is obtained by having at least 5 80s on your account. You can still do this guide even if you don't, but do keep in mind you'll just have to do more in each step to make up for it. Step 1. Races. So let's dig into it. Similar to how I used these in my Dragonflight guide, the Skyriding races will give decent experience for minimal effort. The caveat this time, however, is that the XP really dies off after level 72, so we'll need to do these first before anything else. Here's how this works. First, we need to turn on War Mode and pick up some quests that we'll need for a later step. There are 2 weeklies we want, both in Dornegal, and both are for Delves. One is from Speaker Brinth, just outside the main inn, and the other is from Bran. Follow up the quest with Brinth to turn it into the 100 Relics quest, and then just untrack both of those. We won't be turning those in for quite a while. Anywho, once you have those picked up, just start the races right here in the Isle of Dorne. I recommend turning on race tracking on your map, found up here in the upper right corner of your world map's drop-down. This will let you see where all of the races in the Isles are. Now, once you get started, I want you to do all of these races in all 4 zones on all difficulties that are offered. You only get experience for the first run of each difficulty of each race, and it doesn't matter what time you get for them, so no worries if you're a bronze hero. And when you get down to Ajkahet, you will need to pick up the Severed Threads Pact weekly quest in the Weaver's Lair. Just pick whomever you want for the pact, and you're good to continue since the world quests won't show up until you do so. Don't worry about completing that quest though, unless you happen to do enough world quests there to get it finished. It's a bit of a pain to do the rumors, so just untrack it. I strongly recommend doing all of this with War Mode on for the extra XP bonus, and doing them all should land you between level 72.5 and level 73. It's okay if you're not, you'll just have to make up for it later. Now, I know you'll have instantly seen the XP is not great after 72, but we must finish them all anyway because the regular open world questing scales terribly, and the more we do here, the less we have to fuss with later. Step 2. Professions, world quests, and bonus objectives. For this step, if this character you're leveling here has crafting professions that you know you want to level, now is the time to do so. The first time crafts for the War Within section will grant experience, so it wouldn't hurt to make use of that. That said, this can be expensive and time-consuming, and thus this part is optional. If you choose to do so, I highly recommend checking out wowprofessions.com for crafting guides. They're very well written, usually have material lists and alternative paths, and they try to take into account first-time crafts. I use these nearly every time I need to level professions. Either way, the non-optional part of this step is to do world quests and bonus objectives. Now, depending on your gear, class, and skill level, you know what you're capable of. I recommend doing as many world quests as you can manage. Just make sure to skip the level 80 ones like Spreading the Light because it will not give XP, the special assignments because they do not scale well, trust me on that, And it might be wise to skip the world PvP ones too, since it's best if you have war mode on for the extra XP. No sense in engaging others, it just eats up your time. Now, the bonus objectives. Shockingly, there are bonus objectives, and they're not very obvious. Thankfully, they seem to scale a bit differently than the open world quest mobs, and thus shouldn't give you any trouble as long as you don't pull too much. There's only 5 of them that will give you experience. 3 in the Ringing Deeps, 1 in Hollowfall, and 1 in Ajkahet. I've given you the locations here on screen because they don't always like showing up on your map. But they are there if you go to their spots. They like hiding for some reason. I like to do all of these while doing the world quests to clear out each zone. So before you move on to the next step, do as many world quests as you can, do all 5 bonus objectives, and ideally you'll hit 75. If you're at least 74.5 though, and you've done all of this, you can move on. We'll just have to make up for it in the next step. Step 3. Delves. With the previous step tackled, now we can turn our attention to the real star of the show this expansion and our hero, Delves. Let's get down to business. Here's a visual list of all of the current delves, and it's easy to see where they are in each zone location with these cute little doorway icons. Initially, we're going to do all of these just once on Tier 1 for the first part of this step. A higher tier will not give you more XP, so just do the first tier for your own sake. Each delve has its respective quest right inside the entrance, and make sure you pick it up before you venture deeper. They're the exact reason we're here. And do not turn in these quests as you complete them. Just untrack them and forget about turning them in for now. Trust me. The beauty of delves here is I've found that they scale way better than the open world, especially if you have crappy gear. For reference, here's what the character on screen was wearing. Yikes. I purposely didn't use new gear from world quests or other sources just to prove that these really do scale well, and I had to make sure folks who were unlucky with world quests would be okay here. That said, you will get gear as you complete each delve, so that will help make each run faster. It should take you about an hour and a half to run all 12, depending on your class. Now, once you've done each delve once and have all of these quests ready for turn-in, we first need to do a level check. You must be at least level 77 with the 25% buff, or level 78 without that buff, before turning these in. Even a bit over the 77 is better. Trust me, you'll regret it if you aren't, because these last 3 levels just... well, use your favorite curse to just insult them here. So, how are we going to remedy this if you are not level 77? More delves. Woo! The good part though is you should now have at least a handful of new gear, so these will be even faster. It's important to note that total delve XP will vary depending on what story is active, which is why you have to check your own level after doing them all once. I did this over 2 weeks across 14 different characters and got a different result each time, sometimes a difference of half of an entire level. So I recommend you just pick the delve you dislike the least, since you now know what's available on the day that you've done this, and just do that one on repeat until you've hit the right level. Or, if that hurts your soul, maybe just do another tour of all of them for variety until you can stop. Step 4. Delve quests. Now, when you're finally the right level, make sure you have war mode on first. This is required. You'll just be flying around turning in quests, so you shouldn't have issues if you don't linger. If you don't have it on, you could be an entire half a level or more short here because of the large amounts of XP we're about to go through. It makes a huge difference with these turn-ins. And you can also turn in those 2 delve weeklies we picked up at the start too back in Dornegal. So, once all those are turned in, congrats! You should be 80. And if you happen to not be because you didn't use buffs or you didn't have the 25%, or RNG wasn't kind to you, well, you guessed it. More delves. Whee! Did you know I stream on Twitch now? I do everything from transmog to leveling to gold making, and I'm live 5 days a week to chat with. So, come hang out. And there we have it. If you think I've missed information or you want to request I do a specific guide, let me know in the comments below. Even if I don't answer you, I just might add your idea to my list. As always, thank you so much for watching, and remember, it's never too latte.